Welcome Groups 8 and 18 to Week 6 of Accounting at Swinburne Uni. It's a pretty exciting week. It marks the halfway point, so you've done well, you've got this far. Fantastic. Hopefully you've got, you're quite comfortable with a number of the topics we've gone through so far and are ready to tackle the rest. Of course, we've got a break coming up for those of you who are really looking forward to consolidating a few things in this coming consolidation week after Friday this week. And also the Christmas break. Okay, so definitely use those times to your advantage to brush up on anything that might be causing you concern. I've just had a week up in Swan Hill, and so I just enjoyed the sun and the warmth up there. Shame to come back to a bit of rain and cold, but I guess it just sort of highlights the great flexibility of online learning and online teaching, in my case, in that we can do all of this stuff across the airways and have some great interaction and engagement with both the learning content and a bunch of other individuals who are looking at the same content. So really encourage you to make the best use of all the tools that Swinburne avails you of, because I think it really is a leader in its field in terms of unis offering online courses. So cash flow statements, we're going to keep going with that this week, and we're going to have a look at expanding on what we did last week in week 5. The three key areas we're going to focus on here are in preparing the statements. So I'll talk to you a bit more about that in a moment. The three activities, so it's split up into three activities, as you know. We've got operating, investing and financing. Now, the operating is really about your inflow and your basic standard revenue, sales and receipts from customers. Then you've got your payments to suppliers, your interest payments, your income taxes also in that operating section. So that's your sort of basic operating revenue and expenses coming in there through the cash flow statement. Your next activity is your investing activity. That's primarily purchase of property, plant and equipment and proceeds from property, plant and equipment. And then financing, it's share issues and capital raising, long-term debt, things like that. So that forms that financing section of the cash flow statement. Now, it's really important with these statements to really understand how they're built so that we can use them appropriately. We need to be able to interpret what we're seeing. We need to know what that means for the business and also understand some of the limitations. So the content this week goes into a bit of that interpretation and the limitations of that information, because it's very I guess that's the key with any report, is to know what those numbers represent and the picture that they tell, and to be able to make decisions appropriately. Now, on preparing statements, when I first started studying accounting, I had this idea that statements are this magical, special sort of form of a report that's almost hallowed, and we have to make sure that we do everything exactly right in a certain way. That's not really how it is. Statements are prepared in many different formats, but there are some basic principles that we follow. And it can be as simple or as complex as we want to make it. But essentially, you're really just itemising the numbers and the description of what you're calculating and putting that all together in a table with the key number at the bottom, what you're trying to display to the reader. So in the cash flow statement, obviously that bottom number is net cash flow, and in your profit and loss, it's your overall profit, and so on and so forth. So that's why we talk about the bottom line. What is the bottom line of the business? And it's about all of those calculations add up to a number, and that tells us something, and it's a different thing whether it's a balance sheet or a profit and loss or the cash flow statement. So in doing that, it's really important when preparing a statement that you've obviously classified your transactions correctly so they're appearing in the right the right lines, but also that you're careful with your calculations. So double check them all and just work through slowly and steadily, and practice really is what is going to get you over the line. It's about familiarising yourself with the layout and the principles of preparing these statements and just practicing them. Now, we're going to go through statements in our Collaborate session, and that's at 8:30 on Monday night, so definitely not to be missed. We're going to do some of these worked examples. We're going to go through, you'll be able to see how we do it and hopefully pick up some tips, hopefully not pick up any bad habits, fingers crossed, but this is really your opportunity to get that practical advice and observation of how it can be done reasonably efficiently and effectively, and hopefully error-free. We'll be following some set examples, so we'll be error-free, but if you do see anything, of course let us know, because you know, a lot of the times in the content here and there sometimes can be a bit of a mix-up with numbers, so definitely bring those to our attention. So that Collaborate session, we'll be going through a slide pack, and we'll be going through a number of tips and tricks for assessments, and then obviously the statement work examples. So so take advantage of that, and really this is one of the rare opportunities to interact with your fellow students in real time. So I love it. It's a fantastic, fun activity to do the Collaborate sessions, and once you get your head around the IT, it's not that hard, so definitely give it a go. If at all you can make it at 8:30 on Monday the 8th of December, which is tomorrow. So be there at the Collaborate session. Our task this week is a reflection. Now, reflecting on the last 5 weeks of study, it's great to do this, and yes, I understand that you're going to be wanting to cover this week's content as well, but if you can, share at least one reflection, because that will also help you embed those learnings. There's a long time between now and the exam, so you want to have opportunities from now until that exam to go back and have a look at what you've learned in the first few weeks. You don't want to lose those early marks, because often they're the easiest to pick up on the exam, just because you've forgotten the content. It's a matter of constantly reviewing it, and of course you want to retain it in your future work and in future study as well. So really good task, some reflections, something you've learned, something you struggled with, something that you've gained something from in your employment through learning. Those types of comments would be really helpful both for yourself and for the group, so it'd be great to hear from you there. Let's have a bit of an assessment check. We've got an online test due on the 11th of January, and the ratio report is due on the 26th of January. Now, it's a little way away. We've got a bit of time up our sleeves, but they will come up pretty quick, especially once we get into Christmas and everything like that. So don't forget that those two assessments are due. The ratio report, I'll be putting some info up there on the discussion boards. It's an 1800 word report. I would say it's a long 1800 word report. Consider it on the long side. You've got some calculations in there. You've got to interpret those calculations. So whilst you don't have to worry about referencing and all those sorts of things, you do have to be making logical analysis of your ratios, and you have to be demonstrating an understanding of them. So definitely allocate a sufficient time to do that. Your Tutor and Smart Thinking are two tools that are available through Swinburne to help you if you just want a little bit more confidence in completing assessments. So check those out if that's something that you think would be helpful, and by all means certainly give me a yell with any questions, or post them up on the discussion board as well. Now, consolidation week. So basically at the end of this week we've got a consolidation week. And then we've got 2 weeks of Christmas, and then we're back into things in the following, in January. So be aware that consolidation week and the 2 weeks of Christmas, you can send me emails and stuff, but I won't be allocating time over that period to be responding to all your queries and everything. Have a quick think about what you want to study and what you want to cover off for this that period, and flick me any questions you might have ahead of Friday so that I can respond and make sure that you're well equipped to go on with some stuff. Just wanted to cover off on a couple of things. I guess highlight the tools that are available to you. Make sure you use them to your advantage. You've got your weekly quiz. That's really handy to identify areas that you might need to improve on. The discussion boards, obviously for question and answers and things like that, but also the activity to set task. Use that to further your learning. Q&A, of course, anything you want to ask about the unit. Collaborate, we've got one of those this week. Definitely take advantage of that. That's a valuable tool. And of course the e-text is there, so that's of course your bread and butter. So look, utilise these in a strategic way that will give you the most advantage and help you learn and really consolidate your learning. Otherwise, look, enjoy the week, enjoy the content, and this will be the last vodcast before Christmas, so have a great Christmas, enjoy the festive season, do all that family stuff and presents and eating and stuff. Squeeze in a bit of time for study if you can, because it'll really pay you dividends, and I know you love it. It's just, you know, you live and breathe this stuff, so just like me. So, cool. All the best then.